She's a fashion blogger, model, and entrepreneur.
She's amazing.
The latest tips on fashion, beauty, wellness, travel, and her lifestyle. And now, here's the founder and creator of Not Basic Blonde, Olasha.
Hi, Jon. How are you today?
I am fantastic. I'm a big fan. Love your posts. And you've always got something interesting going on, too. It's not just, oh, yeah, here's an attractive person on Instagram. Imagine that, an attractive person on Instagram. But your posts tend to be interesting, too, with the people you're hanging with and all that kind of stuff. So it's great to be on with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and welcome to Not Basic Blonde podcast.
Well, thank you.
You had an incredible career in NFL, successful career for Chicago Bears, and now you have an incredible, successful career as well. We would love to learn more about you. How was your career in NFL, and how did you transition to this? What are you doing now?
Well, and thank you. I was a linebacker in college, and I came out of college and went to the Chicago Bears, and got to play 4 games, and then I got cut. And I can judge by both your accent and the fact that you're probably not a huge football fan, but you might watch it, and you probably like the players. But the NFL is extremely competitive, just like a lot of businesses, and it is very cutthroat. I'm not complaining. I probably got to play more than I deserved playing 4 games, because the guy I was playing in front of was Mike Singletary. And Mike Singletary was a first ballot selection into the Hall of Fame. So he was an excellent player. I played with Walter Payton and Dan Hampton. So many great friends still. Most of them are still alive, sadly. Walter passed away not too long after the Super Bowl, just a few years after the Super Bowl shuffle and all that stuff. But I was before the Super Bowl too. I was 1981 when I came out of college and got to play football. I was thankful for it, and I got to get to Chicago, and I was lucky I didn't get debilitating injuries, because a lot of those guys that are playing football do get exactly that, knee injuries, neck injuries, shoulder injuries, all that stuff. I only had 1 surgery in my whole football career, which lasted for 19 years, I guess, from when I was a little kid until I was 22 and a half. And so that's not so bad. Most of them don't get that kind of luck. And it is luck, because, just one step too slow, or the other guy's 1 step too fast, and you can get injured pretty bad. So I was lucky to be in Chicago, because then it set me up for a career trading, because I didn't want to leave Chicago once I got there.
That's incredible. I do watch football, actually. I like Miami Dolphins.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I know Chicago Bears too. I've been watching
Fantastic.
football for a good time, a while.
Well, and you're down in Miami, I think, aren't you?
Yes,
Or
yes.
I was going to say, because when I see your posts, it always seems to be some hip place in South Florida somewhere.
Yeah,
And
in Miami.
yep, and the weather down there is great. I live in Puerto Rico, so our
Okay.
weather's even better than Miami. But it's an island, and so we get nice breezes too. So today it's probably 92 outside, but we get an island breeze, which sometimes Miami has a breeze, but a lot of the rest of the time it's pretty hot in the summer into the fall. And that's why I live here instead of there.
Yeah, this year it was hot, but luckily there were no hurricanes in September, so hopefully
Yeah.
no in October.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We've dodged a couple this year. I've been here 4 years, and I've only had 1 hurricane that I had to go through, and it wasn't bad. And my friend and I, he's a former race car driver. He and I were driving around helping people get their generators started, because some of them, it had been such a long time since the bad hurricanes like Maria, that a lot of people hadn't been taking care of their you always got to maintain those dang generators. And with the salt air, it's kind of tough.
So true. And also, as far as your current career, how did you start it and what made you start it?
Um, let's see. Like I say, I got to Chicago because of the Bears and playing football, and my agent was putting traders onto the floor. So he would basically say, "Okay, what are you going to do now, John? Do you want to go up and play football in Canada?" And I said, "No." Um, Nothing against Canadians, but Canadian football, they don't pay the same as American football. Um, Probably the biggest star in Canada might make, what the 30th best linebacker makes in the NFL. It's pretty low. And they also have a restriction on the number of Americans you can have on the Canadian football team, because otherwise, again, no offense to the Canadians, but it would be all Americans, almost all Americans, because it's a much bigger sport here than it is in Canada. But they have different rules. The fields are bigger in Canada. The end zones are 20 yards instead of 10 yards and so forth. So, but I didn't want to go play football there. So he said, "Well, what are you going to do then?" And I said, "I think I'm going to go down to the trading floor in Chicago and learn how to trade, because I see all these nice cars in the parking lot opposite the exchange. So somebody's making a lot of money. If I'm not going to make it playing pro football, maybe I'll make it trading." And so luckily in 1981, September, I think it was on my birthday or the day before, which was just a week ago, September 29th is my birthday. So I think I started on the trading floor about that day, and I stayed at it on the trading floor until 2004. So it was a great 23-year run. I loved it, and it's very competitive. So you tend to meet very well, what should I say? Type A personalities. There's not a lot of shrinking violets on the floor, because you're banging into each other and you're saying, "I am sold," things like that through the whole day, all 6 hours. And then they extended the day to 6.5 hours. And pretty soon they're going to add a lot of after hours trading now that we're hitting 2025, and we're going to be in the year 2026, I think, is when extended hours trading really starts to hit in a big way. So it was just a very competitive and fun and profitable opportunity. So I loved it. Couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I still trade like I did on the floor, but now I trade from upstairs, point and clicking with a mouse, instead of being down on the trading floor and yelling and screaming.
That's incredible. And you said your birthday is on September 29th. I'm Libra too,
Yep.
so mine is on October 7th. It just passed. And I have like probably five friends on September 29th that have the same birthdays.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, by the way, where is your accent from?
I was born in Ukraine, but I grew up in US.
All right. Well, you've obviously done very well. And I'm impressed by what you've done building your brand. And uh, that seems like a smart move. And hopefully, you're enjoying doing the podcasts.
Thank you. Well, I had career in business and project management, IT project management before, and then I've done modeling since I was teenager, and then I transitioned to building my brand like around 8 years ago. So yeah.
Mhm. Well, you were early onto the movement onto
Yeah,
uh, yeah, which is smart, because a lot of people don't really understand what it takes to do it and have missed out on the opportunity to do it.
so
And a
true.
lot of those, yeah, but so kudos to you.
Thank you so much. And going to one of the important questions that everybody wants to know, the government shutdown, what do you think about it? And what do you think is going to happen? Your prediction, your opinion on it?
Well, I think it's not going to, luckily it doesn't impact you and me very much. Like I say, that's just luck that it doesn't. But if you're a federal employee like TSA, when we fly, uh, it's going to affect them because how would you like to not have money coming in because they can't pay you? And then you can't pay, and maybe your credit cards and other, responsibilities that we all have get sort of messed up because of the government not paying you. I never think it's right when either side does this, whether it's the Republicans doing it or whether it's the Democrats. And right now it's the Democrats. Um, it won't ultimately do much to the stock market, in my opinion. But now that it's extending longer than many of us thought, and initially it looked like it was going to be 10 days, maybe. And they're doing the seventh vote today for whether or not they can pass it because it's already passed the House. And each time they try to bring it to the Senate, it gets blocked. And then the Democrats try to blame the Republicans, and the Republicans say, "We're willing to vote on it. Let's go." So I think it's never a good idea to hurt teachers or federal workers, policemen, the armed forces, any of these folks that have a contract, and they're supposed to be paid. So I'm not one that thinks that we should shut down the government. But on the other hand, it doesn't really impact a lot of what I do from the trading. Occasionally, if you were to really drill down into certain stocks, you'll probably find some that are going to be impacted. But it's overall not something that impacts AI and most of what we are trading right now. It's not something that impacts data centers, which is what we're trading a lot of. It's not something that impacts cryptocurrencies. And I sit on a couple advisory boards for crypto and things like that. And these kinds of things, uncertainty tends to drive people into gold, silver, and crypto. And so those are certainly reflecting some of the worries that people have. And they're certainly doing very well since the shutdown.
That's a great point. Thank you for explaining this. And
Sure.
also, as far as trading wars going on, what do you think? What is your opinion on it?
Well, I was really happy that the president was able to negotiate or get Netanyahu and Hamas to the negotiation table, and that they have allegedly now signed off on a truce and returning hostages from both sides. Because, shoot, it's been over 2 years. And I'm sure both the Israelis and the people in Gaza, whether they're Hamas or not Hamas, are grateful that they're going to get a break, hopefully, in the bloodshed and get their family members or the remains of their family members, sadly, get those to put some closure to it. Again, people never give this president much credit for all the different things that he's done or tries to do. And in this case, it's another one of these where he has basically forced Netanyahu to the table to end this, because there have been an awful lot of civilians that have been killed. And I'm not saying Israel's right or wrong. I think they have a right to defend themselves. And I think the people of Gaza have had an awful lot pushed onto them that they didn't deserve. But clearly, the catalyst was what happened in October 2 years ago. And when you invade somebody else's country and kill or take hostages and things like that, and it kicks off a war, hopefully at some point there's been enough bloodshed to where both sides can agree that we should stop. And I hope the same thing happens between Russia and Ukraine, which, as you just said, you were originally from Ukraine. It's a beautiful place. I mean, I'm going over to Armenia on Sunday. It's not the same as Ukraine. I think Ukraine might be prettier, but Armenia's nice. It'll be my first trip over there. And obviously, when you can reconnect with your homeland, it's a pretty cool thing. And both of us would like to see that bloodshed between Russia and Ukraine stop the same way that hopefully it's stopping in Gaza and Israel.
So true. And Ukraine and Russia was going on, it's been going on for like 3 years now, and I really got affected by it because where the city where I was born, it was really completely wiped off in 3 weeks. People were starving. I had to rescue my grandma from there, and my grandma is bedridden and she doesn't speak, so she survived by a huge miracle because the building was split by the bomb like twice. And that was a crazy experience for me because I had to rescue her, I was stuck in Germany, and then I had to ask Senator of Georgia to help us to speed up the process of paperwork. And USCIS was involved, and luckily we brought her home. But it was very challenging time and very challenging story. And of course, we always pray for peace and for everyone to be happy and no wars in the world. But also for
Yeah,
me, my birthday is on October 7th, and for Israeli people, that's a big day. You
yeah, it is. It's kind of burned into the memory the same way December 7th is for Americans because of Pearl
yeah,
Harbor. I'm
yeah,
sure Israel will always honor their dead, and hopefully they'll be able to welcome home some of the hostages, and as well as people in Gaza welcoming home hostages. So yeah,
yeah,
here's putting up a prayer for that.
true. And also, if somebody would like to get into trading, where should they start? And if someone is an entrepreneur and trying to invest, what would they do?
They could come on over to our website. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt that says 10x and my hat that says 10x. Our company's called Market Rebellion. And if they go to marketrebellion.com/get started, they'd be able to see all of the different. We have educational courses, we have coaches that can help in group settings, on a Zoom, just like what you and I are doing. Um, People understanding stock trading, technical analysis, option trading, basically investing to um, make more money with less risk. And that's our mantra. We're always trying to stress that if they use leverage properly in options, they can cut the risk down and get better returns. So that's why our latest book is called It's Not an Option, because we always joke that it's not an option to just trade stock. You should learn how to trade options, even if you only trade them occasionally, because it's a great tool, and I think it really does help you understand uh, what's going on in the world, because uh, there's all these inputs that go into trading every single day. You and I have talked about some of those throughout this interview, whether it's wars or whether it's political strife or whether it's people wondering about data centers and are we going to have enough power to run the data centers and all that sort of thing. So that's why I love trading, because everything that goes on in the world in one way or another has some impact, some of them very big impact, some of them just a small impact. Maybe it rains too hard in an area where we need precious minerals out of the ground. And obviously, if those are underground and it rains too hard, we're not going to be able to get them for a while. That has happened many times. So, or a crop not either getting burned because it was a drought or again, because there was too much rain. Almost any news story can impact stocks, certain stocks in that area, in that sector. And so that's why it's exciting for me, because it's never the same thing. It's not a grind every day, the same thing. I'm just stamping widgets, like this. Instead, I can look at the inputs and figure out, okay, who's that going to benefit and who's it going to hurt? And then I can trade those stocks, buying one and selling the other or whatever.
And what do you think about stock market and economy right now compared to last year or compared to the future? What do you think?
I think we're in a good position now because the Fed has finally started cutting rates. Just yesterday, which was Wednesday, the 8th, we were seeing that the Fed members half of them think we should see at least two more cuts. So when people reduce interest rates, that's good for housing. It's good for the home improvement stocks like Home Depot and so forth, construction companies. It's good for people with mortgages, so the mortgage stocks react to it, all that kind of stuff. So I think the market right now is in a good place to move higher still, even though we've seen dramatic moves out of stocks like AMD, or OpenAI or NVIDIA or Intel. I mean, a lot of the stocks have seen much bigger moves than we're used to seeing, and they will pull back. So don't just chase the hot money, folks. Wait for some pullbacks because we will see them. But if we've got a situation where the Fed is cutting rates, I think that will help support the markets. So my view is that the market right now is in a good place. It seems frothy to some, but I think it pulls back and then goes higher and then pulls back and goes higher because of these rate cuts that we're about to see, as well as the economy taking advantage of artificial intelligence, of many of the things that the leading tech companies are doing right now. So I think a lot of that is going to be positive. And there will be some negatives. The Senate this week was talking about, oh, there could be a lot of jobs lost because of AI and so forth. And that's true. So we need to, make sure people have other opportunities that are going to lose jobs as coders, for instance, because a lot of people really went into coding heavy and they were paid a lot of money for that. And now AI can do an awful lot of what, 50 or 100 people could do. One AI can take care of that. So when you look at all the different AIs and apply it to billing for credit cards, billing for hospitals, billing for student loans, all this kind of stuff, do you really need a bunch of accountants or you just need some AI? And there's hundreds of examples like that. So we will lose a lot of jobs that presently are good jobs, but we'll have to have other places for those people to go rather than just having them go on unemployment. And that'll be a challenge for the president in the next coming years.
But do you think AI actually has a positive impact as well? Or
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I use it all the time. We use it for our trading. But it does eliminate people. And that's a negative. Obviously, I'm not rooting for somebody to lose their job, but a company can get leaner quicker because of AI. So they might not need to have 50 workers, maybe they only need 10. What are those other 40 workers going to do that AI replaced? I mean, the fact that it replaced 40 workers is good for the company, but tough for those workers. So I would imagine many of them, if they're seeing their jobs taken away by AI, must figure out how to use AI so that they can be one of the experts that helps people or helps companies save money, because all these companies are into that, saving money. Doesn't matter who they are, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Apple, it doesn't matter who you are. If somebody can show you how to do the same job, do it quicker and or do it cheaper, they're going to listen. And so I would say to people that are worried about their jobs being taken by AI, learn how to use AI and then apply it to where you're working now so that you could be this expert at your company. And that's going to be a very valuable role for a lot of people, I think.
so true, if you can monetize and learn AI, it can actually be a great impact. What role does psychology play in your trading routine, and how do you coach traders to manage fear and FOMO?
Well, it's a great question. I do it several different ways. One of the ways I used to do when we were floor trading was I'd take them down to an ATM machine and or a cash station, whatever you want to call it, and I'd put in my card and I'd say, okay, let's get $400 out of the machine, and I'd press it and I'd say, give me 420s. And back in those days, today, of course, it comes out as one big chunk. But back then it used to come out, one, two, three, four, five, like that. So it'd just be, just coming out like that. And I'd say, okay, every one of those is a trade. So your job is to go on the floor and just do that. I'm not looking at you to make, $1 million today. I want you to get down there and grind it out, make $10 every trade and make 1,000 trades today. And they'd, be stunned like, oh, what do you mean 1,000 trades? And I'd say, yeah, how many hours are there in a trading day? 6.5. How many minutes in an hour? 60. Okay. So 60 times 6, that's in terms of the minutes in a day. How many of those could you make? How many trades can you make in a minute? They'd sit there and think about it, and I'd say, okay, so grind it. Just get in there. And when somebody says, buy this at a half, sell it to them and buy it back for a little less. Buy it from somebody, sell it to them for a little more. Just over and over and over and over again. And that is what a lot of traders learn to do early on, is just grind. Then as they get better and better at it, they position themselves for longer term. They put on trades for days, weeks, or months because they've learned how the markets work. But when they first start, it's really important to just get them to grind and not try to put on a big position to make a lot of money until they know how to do it. So I think, taught traders to avoid FOMO, that fear of missing out, by grinding, not by just saying, well, what's moving today? I better grab that. No, you need to just, buy when the stock's $60.10, you're buying it and selling it at $60.12. Buy it, sold, buy it, sold, buy it, sold as fast as you can. And the people that learn that way tend not to be driven by fear of missing out, tend not to make big mistakes. But I think the public, when they first trade, they either don't have discipline and they lose money by letting the stock fall too far because they need discipline. They bought it at $60 and now it's 58 and now it's 57 and now it's 56 and they're still not selling. They should be out. They should have sold, as it started to drop, if they were long, if they bought it. And same thing with taking profits. You bought it at 60 and now it's 61. Why are you still holding it? Take a profit, move on to the next trade. Next trade is at 61.5. Damn it, I should have held on until 61.5. No, buy it at 61.5 if you think it's going up, and then sell it, because you want to repeat over and over and over again. And if you do that, you're managing risk and you're going to be in a position to make money for the long term, not just for one day, but for a lot of days.
That's incredible strategy, actually.
Well, hopefully. And we teach that all the time still. People that work with us over at Market Rebellion, they're always, I think, surprised that we stress discipline so much, but it's so important. You have to have discipline if you're going to make it for the long term. Otherwise, it really is just a casino. If you're just watching TV and then, oh, that guy said this, I'm going to buy it. Well, maybe it's already moved by the time that person said it or whatever. But if it focuses you on that stock, great. Now start watching the stock, see how it trades back and forth, and then say, okay, momentum looks like it's going this way in the market. I'm going to buy this one, and take your profits quick, cut your losses quick, and you'll be at it a long time.
What is the biggest challenge you have in your career?
Probably managing other people. Managing myself is easy. Managing other people is harder. And if you want to build a big trading firm like we've done a couple times, you've got to manage other people. And some of them won't work out. And then it's hard because you're basically breaking their dream, just like my dream was to play pro football. And when it ended, it was sad, because I still wanted to play. But uh, I'm glad that I moved on to something else. Some people aren't meant to be traders. Some people aren't meant to do advertising or to be models. They've got to know when it's time to move on and find something else. And uh, managing other people and, like I say, breaking their dream. Nobody can take your dream if you work hard at it. But if you're not listening to what the world is saying about, well, uh, you're not a good ad person, you're not a good copywriter, you're not a good trader, you're not a great model. If they're telling you these things and you're hearing it from more than one person, it might be time for you to focus on some other stuff. So, like I say, managing people was always the biggest challenge for me. Managing myself, easy, because for, like I said, some 19 years, I was an athlete from being a little kid, 3 or 4 years old, to all the way through 22 years old. You had to be disciplined. You had to push yourself when it seemed like that was going to be hard to push yourself. You still had to push. You had to get up, go to the gym. You had to eat right. You had to go to sleep. You had to do all the things you have to do to be disciplined. I mean, I have a client, Andre Agassi, and he's a great tennis player. And obviously, he won 8 Grand Slams. And yet, after winning 7 of them, he was miserable. And you can read his book. It's called Open. It's a great book. And Andre said he was just doing it because his dad just drilled him every day on tennis. He'd get up and it was tennis. And then he'd eat and then it was tennis. And then he'd run and then it was tennis. And then he'd eat lunch and then it was tennis. And it was just his whole life for years and years and years. And even though he was great at it, obviously, winning Grand Slams, he had to find some other purpose. And he did. And he opened a bunch of uh, charter schools. And then the joy came back into his life. And he won another Grand Slam because he had fallen from #1 in the world to 143rd in the world because he didn't have joy. You got to love what you do. And so, like I said, for me and for Andre, the discipline wasn't the hard part, but it was doing something you really enjoyed doing as well. And so, managing myself, for him managing himself after he broke off from his dad, um, that was easy once he broke off. But while somebody else was telling you what to do all the time, it wasn't so fun. And so you've got to have self-discipline and self-motivation. It can't just be your coach. And that's one of the things that we try to teach people at Market Rebellion as well.
Well, I think that discipline is everything. Of course, you won't be successful without discipline, and especially when you work for yourself, when you're an entrepreneur, no, there is no one to push you. There is no one to tell you what to do. You have to do it yourself, and you have to know that it's on you. Your success depends on you. And it's
Yep.
really hard because sometimes you have moments in your life that you're going through so much and you just can't even handle it, but you still have to push it through.
Yep. That's all true. And I'm grateful that I've had that kind of good fortune to, have a mom and dad that supported me and that pushed me. And that even when I screwed up, because that happens, they were there and they basically told you to get up and do it again. Not the same way Andre's parents did, but they were more supportive. I think Andre's father, even though he was drove Andre hard, I think Andre resented a lot of that, even though it made him a world champion. I think he resented not having any childhood, hardly just having tennis, 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 tennis. But now he's able to share a lot of that. And like I say, he's our client. We love working with him. And I don't think he wants to learn how to trade. I just think he loves paddle sports and he loves paddleball. He loves pickleball. He loves padel, as they call it, as well, and tennis. And, once you find your passion and you can really exploit it, do it for as long as you can.
So true. That's such a great actually reminder. How do you evaluate and trade vitality events? And do you prefer defined risk structures or directional plays?
I really like directional plays. We look at data in the markets and we let the smartest money in the markets tell us where the market's going. So we're somewhat famous for developing algorithms that find that needle in the haystack, which is the stock out of the 7,000 stocks that there are, which is the stock that's seeing big institutional money flow, big buying or big selling. And then we ride right along with them. So we developed algorithms years ago, back in 1999, and we've used them since that just find those big trades. And then we run in that direction. And that has served us really well over the past however many years.
That's amazing. What market sectors or instruments are you most excited today, and how would you position options exposure around them?
Um, let's see. We love when there are situations that are set up. So, for instance, there's a new product announcement coming for a company. Maybe it's a makeup company. Maybe it's a drug company. Maybe it's a tech company like Apple, and they're coming out with the 17. Um, when we know there's something on the calendar that's due at approximately a certain time, and then we see the big money, that smart money that I spoke about, coming in there to either bet for them, bet that it's going to be a good event, or bet that it's going to be a bad event, we will ride in that same direction that they are pushing. So I really like the idea that uh, data doesn't lie, but people do. So the data, people might be selling a certain stock, but then if somebody really smart is in there buying in big quantities, I want to run in that same direction that they're running. So when we see setups like that, we love following it. So, for instance, right now, the president is investing in a lot of companies for America. He invested in Intel, and it almost doubled as soon as he did that investment. And he only bought 10%, but he he wanted more semiconductors made in America, and so did the former president Biden. But Biden just wanted to throw $20 billion at it. This president, Trump, threw that money at it, but said, okay, and this is going to benefit you directly, Intel. So I want a 10% stake if we're putting up this money. And Intel was smart enough to say, okay, because they didn't have to go out and raise the money. They didn't have to sell shares. The stock was roughly $18 a share. I think it was 37 yesterday. So it didn't happen in one day, but over the past 2 months, Intel has doubled. So look at those semiconductors. You know that the president is really serious about security and not just dependent on China for Intel's chips that are made in, for instance, some of them are made, of course, in California, but a lot of chips are made in Taiwan. China's obviously right there, and they want to take Taiwan back and make it part of China. So unless we want to go to a world war based on that, we have to make chips here. Same thing with lithium, which goes into the batteries in EVs like Lucid or Tesla or Rivian or any of the EV makers, electric vehicle makers. So we need lithium. We need it for missiles. We need cobalt and manganese and all these different things that, go into either EVs, electric vehicles, or that go into defense things like missiles and guidance systems in airplanes and things like that. So the president has been investing in Lithium America, LAC, and he took a 10% stake for us in that. And he's talked about a bunch of other stocks. So if you're somebody who doesn't even follow the news that closely, but you know that he is doing these kinds of things, probably a good idea for you to follow some of those lithium stocks, and maybe even buy some, thinking that, well, this is going to lift all of these stocks. China today just said that they're going to restrict exports of lithium and many of those other things like graphene and graphite. They're going to restrict the export of that from China. Is that going to drive up prices? Yep. So guess if you're a lithium company, you're probably almost happy about that, because it means people are going to be coming more to you than to China, because China's not going to allow as much export of those critical minerals and rare earths. I think that's a big deal. People should be paying attention to that.
And also, what do you think of XRP? Because we had so many predictions it's going up, it's going to be such huge numbers, and now it's not as much.
Yeah. Well, stable coins, pardon me, and things like that are interesting. Um, Coins, I mean, I'm on a couple different either advisories or boards in the crypto space. I really love crypto, been in it since 2017, 2016, 2017, which doesn't mean I'm early. It means I thought I was late, but now everybody thinks I was early because so many people are not, um, still haven't embraced crypto. So XRP, it's a native currency, open source, decentralized blockchain. Um, it's designed for really fast, uh, low cost cross border transactions and things like that. Sounds like they're in a good spot. No wonder that people talk about it all the time. But I'll tell you, one that people should be paying attention to is Binance, BNB, because it's the biggest exchange in the world. Um, for instance, the New York Stock Exchange, I love them to death. The New York Stock Exchange, CBOE Global Markets, CME Group, I love all those guys. The Binance company trades, has what, 270 million users. 270 million. That's more than all of the other exchanges on the TradFi or traditional finance, like the New York, like NASDAQ and CME and CBOE. It's more than all of those combined, just in one place, just in Binance. And they have customers from, I think, over 170 countries. So when you look at something like BNB, again, Binance, you got to think, oh my gosh, this is a monster. And yet very few people talk about it. Now, they've had regulatory issues in the past because the US thinks that they have the right to tell you that, well, you sold this as a security. So it's an unlicensed securities offering. So we want to have you pay us a really big fine and or put you in jail. So CZ, the founder of Binance, hasn't come back into the country since they've said that. Now, maybe at some point he will cut a deal with the Justice Department and or get a pardon from the president. Who knows? I'm not an insider on that, but I am in a company that trades that all day and that holds the largest crypto wallet for Binance of all the treasuries, and that is BNC. So I think that BNC, that's Boy Nancy Charlie, is a publicly traded stock. So it's easy. Anybody that point and click trades could buy it. They don't have to have a hardware wallet. They don't have to understand crypto. All they have to understand is the stock's up 58% this, or the coin, the BNB token, is up 58% this year. It gives people the access to ride on that success that Binance has as the largest exchange in the world. Like I say, all those 270 million people and all the rest. And it's held in a publicly traded vehicle that you can buy it just like when you buy Apple, just like when you buy Microsoft or Google or Amazon. Same thing. If you have an account, you can buy any of those stocks. You can buy BNC. That's why that stock is rocking right now. I think at one point it was up 30% in the last few days. Now, will it, again, just like the examples that you and I have talked about, where you're saying, oh, well, AI, this stock was up 50% in 2 days. It'll pull back. This one will pull back too. BNC will pull back, but it's going to start moving like this, from the lower left to the upper right on a regular basis, because as more and more people understand that this is the easiest way to own the biggest exchange in the world, they will be migrating towards it. So those kind of things excite me. Ripple, does it excite me? Yeah. I mean, it's what, let's say 280 or whatever. The all-time high is $3.84. It's great. You can do, multiple transactions per second with really, really, really low fees. That's what Ripple's got going for it, or XRP. That's what it has going for it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. But right now, if you look at BNB versus Ripple, I'm just going to check it right now. BNB market cap should come up in a sec. Let's see, BNB, because Ripple is about 170 billion market cap. It just got passed by Binance in the last week, and now Binance is 182 billion market cap. That's a huge deal, and people should be paying attention to it. So as much as I like Ripple and Tether, they're both great, but BNB is, I think, where you're going to get the most bang for the buck.
Well, thank you for such incredible advice and for sharing your wisdom. Where can our listeners find you? Your social handles, all your information?
Sure. If they want to follow me on Twitter, it's just my name, at JonNajarian, at Jon Najarian. My brother's the same, except Pete, PETENAJARIAN. And we're the founders of Market Rebellion. Just like it sounds, MarketRebellion.com. And I'd say absolutely, say you heard about it on Not Just Average Blonde Show. Yeah, we'd love to see anybody that wants to learn about trading. And we've got lots of free education there. And you can always grab our book for free too. It's not an option. They'll charge you $9 to ship it. But that doesn't go to me. That's $9 for the company that packages them and ships them. The book is free, and it's about 240 pages. It's a real book. It's not a pamphlet, and it's got a lot of great strategies in it. It's not an option.com. So I'd say those are the two best ways to get a hold of us.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.